Hello folks, hope you're having a good day today. Today I'm going to take a look at the Mountains of Madness, which was written by H.P. Lovecraft. It's one of his 3 or 4 novellas that he wrote during his life, along with The Strange Case of Dexter Ward, and there's also one of his in the Dream Cycle too, the Dream Quest of Unknown Cthulhu, and so forth. But today I want to take a look at the Mountains of Madness. At the Mountains of Madness is, I think, one of Lovecraft's strongest works out there, period. It's a little longer, so it'll probably take you 3 hours or 4 hours to read it. And so forth, but there's going to be so much stuff that happens. It's so well done. There's a lot of strong world building that's going to happen too, and also a famous thing that Lovecraft's going to do too. It's a very, very important story in Lovecraft's Cthulhu Mythos. And basically, the Cthulhu Mythos got started with Call of Cthulhu, which we've already looked at a few days for you. And basically, in the Call of Cthulhu, basically what Lovecraft does is he basically sets aside all previous sort of horror tropes that have existed and pushes past all these little sort of smaller scale, like, oh my god, I'm being chased by a ghost, or somebody wants to kill me with a knife, or a dragon, or a vampire, or something like that. Something dark, like Dracula. What am I going to do? A werewolf. What am I going to do? What am I going to survive? And Pools says, the world that we know is so nasty and so dark that if we were to ever actually realize it, we'd go crazy. We'd go crazy if we realized just how small and insignificant we are, and how much everything's against us. And there's nobody on our side. There's nothing coming to save us. Nothing. And if we were to realize that, we'd go mad with it. And the more we realize the truth of the world, the less stable we become, and so forth. And so there's this darkness to the existence that you get from Lovecraft, a cosmic indifference that you get from him. So today what I'm basically doing is we're basically doing a whole bunch of these sort of mythos stories. Basically I'm recording them all in one day, one Saturday here. I'm spending a whole lot of time doing them. But now we're going to take a look at the Mountains of Madness, which is a classic work. I consider it to be one of his top 5 mythos works from where I'm sitting. Also, you regularly will see it being talked about with movies and so forth. There was a conversation about making it into the Mountains of Madness movie, and so forth. It's actually definitely a story of its time. It's actually, I would consider it to be the most Jules Verne story in the Cthulhu Mythos, if that makes sense. It definitely feels like a Jules Verne story in a lot of ways. Basically what's going to happen, I'll give you the basic synopsis of it. It's long. The synopsis I'm going to give you is only short. I'm not going to give you like the last, third or fourth of it. So I just want to give you a brief synopsis of it. And then I'll link you to it below if you want to follow it out more. But basically what's going to happen in it is it's going to be an expedition to the Antarctic. It's going to be launched by Miskatonic University. And this large expedition that's being launched to explore the Antarctic Antarctica is basically being launched as a part of the number of expeditions that are being launched during that time, and it's going to be basically one that's going to take a number of explorers, scientists, and people of different fields that are heading down there. So it's a big, giant sort of cross-field exploration, and there's a number of people that are going to head on down to explore further and more deeply in Antarctica than before. And what they're going to find out early on is there are going to be some various expeditions. They're going to be down there for a while, a couple of months. While they're down there, they're going to come across these long dead creatures that they're going to find more and more of them under ice. They're basically star-like creatures with a couple of limbs on them, but I don't mean stars like horrible, some of them like vertically, these little star creatures are down there, and they're going to find more than 10 of them dead under the ice, but they're still relatively kept and preserved under the Antarctic ice, and are being released and so forth. And in this camp that found them, a big giant storm hits, and after it hits, nobody is heard from that camp. So the second expedition will head out over to that camp, find out what happened. Many of the things that they reported finding are no longer gone or snow covered. Many of the people are missing or dead. One of the dogs is missing that was out that way too. And then they're going to head on in deeper. They're going to find this a nearby set of mountains that's in Antarctic that's bigger than the Himalayas by at least a mile or two. Big giant set of mountains that are down there in central Antarctica, and so forth, that people didn't know about. They're going to land to it, explore it, and basically find out that there are these ruins that are ancient, that go back a really long time, long before men existed on this earth, and so forth, with these giant cyclopean ruins and so forth. They're going to investigate them, find out that some of the things that they thought that were dead are not dead, and they're going to be chased by things out of myth and time and so forth, back out of the ruins, and then back into the light of day. And there you go, story. Boom, boom. All right, now, again, this is a story. I'm going to leave you there. There's a lot of things that are going to happen. A lot of world building is going to happen too, and so forth. You're going to find out that the star creatures, this was their home. Then other people moved in, kind of kicked them out, killed them, and so forth. So you're going to learn a lot more about the star creatures, as well as who came in, and also who controlled them, and so forth. This is a very important story because it's very much a sort of exploration story as they explore the Antarctic more and more and more, and so forth. So it has a kind of love, and that's something you would definitely have from a Jules Verne novel, whether it's 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, where you're exploring the water, underwater, or a journey from the Earth to the Moon, where you're exploring the Moon, or 80 days around this journey, and the 80 days around the Earth, journey to the center of the Earth, and so forth. There's so many of these sorts of exploration stuff. That's what Jules Verne loved. He loved exploring. You're definitely getting this. This is the age of exploration, right? And so exploring the Antarctic was definitely something that was happening at that time, in addition to Arctic expeditions that were happening all of the time, right? This is an incredibly common part of the time. And so by tapping into it. Now, Lovecraft also did a lot of research into the Antarctic because he wanted to present the Antarctic as scientifically and realistic as possible. So this is not just a soft science fiction where people are going to the Antarctic, so here I'm going to write my own story and we'll just move on. It's not that at all. It's actually very much a hard story because he does a lot of research and finds out what would need to happen, what equipment would need to be taken, and so forth. And so it's an incredibly lavish set of research that he clearly done for it, and setting up this sort of expedition, and so forth. And At the Mountains of Madness, again, is something that's so highly respected by people. How well it was done, how well the world building is that something that continues to be talked about for movies, major productions. It's maybe the first thing that people will come across rather than call Cthulhu or something else like that. It's just incredibly well done, incredibly evocative of the era, and so forth. It's incredibly strong. Now, there are some things that I think Lovecraft does very well in this story, but one of the things he's really kind of famous for is kind of demythologizing his own mythos. By this time, he had created a number of Cthulhu Mythos works where he has all these different characters and creatures and so forth. And you find out here that they're kind of aliens from the space. These two at least are the star creatures and the Shoggoth that are in there that kick them out are basically kind of from outer space. You're seeing them more as aliens rather than who lives on Earth, rather than as horror creatures that are, oh my God, come here, kill me and drink my blood or something like that. So you're now kind of seeing them more for regular sort of creatures than you would expect. And so there's kind of this demythologizing, if you will, of the Cthulhu mythos that he created. So I think it's incredibly strong for that reason too. It's much more gritty, it's much more realistic, and so forth. So there, that's At the Mountains of Madness. Again, I'll stop my review there. Let me know if you agree with it or disagree with it. I'm happy to engage you with it further, and so forth. Happy to if you want to talk about some of the things that happened in it more. If you disagree with my take on it, that's such a strong Cthulhu Mythos story, and that the world building is very good. I do think that the pacing is incredibly good, except for when he starts to talk about the world that he loves so much. This is his world, right? And there are occasionally places where I do think he'll spend maybe 1 or 2 pages more than he should talking about the world. And he does that at least 3 or 4 times, I think. I think the story's probably about 8 pages longer than it probably needs to be, and so forth. So it's not, the perfect masterwork that I think Shadow over Innsmouth is, but it's incredibly good, incredibly strong, and incredibly well done. And again, it's one of my 5 favorite Cthulhu Mythos stories, and we're going to turn to my next favorite right after I hit the stop button on this one, which is the color out of space. And then again, we'll go ahead and leave it there. Let me know what you think about it in the comments below. I'm happy to engage with you more. If you watched this video all the way to the end, hey, I want to thank you. We all have busy days and busy lives. So the fact that you took some time out of your day to spend it with me, that's really humbling, and I appreciate that. And hey, finally, if you like this, there's no reason not to hit the subscribe button. I'm really passionate about a lot of these science fiction, fantasy, and horror things that are classics or forgotten. And I think that definitely things that were being written in the 20s and 30s are definitely classics that I think a lot of people have forgotten, but have definitely influenced us. At the Mountains of Madness is a great example of that, and I definitely think you should check it out. So once again, let me know what you think about it. You have a good one.